She made a mistake. Get over it, my mom said about my boyfriend hooking up with my younger sister at Thanksgiving. They invited him to Christmas. Not me. I quietly transferred the house deed out of Dad's name. New Year's Eve, the eviction notice came. Hey Reddit, grab your popcorn because this one's a doozy. My family just found out that the house they've been living in for the past 15 years, yeah, I own it, and they're about to get evicted. But before you call me let me explain how we got here. I'm Suzanne, 32F, and I've spent my entire adult life being the family ATM, while my younger sister, Daria, 28F, has been treated like she's made of gold-plated unicorn. This isn't your typical golden child story, though. This is about what happens when you push the responsible kid too far and forget that paperwork is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me paint you a picture of my family dynamics. Dad's a retired union electrician. Mom never worked outside the house. They raised two girls in a modest three-bedroom ranch in suburban Ohio. Nothing fancy, but it was home. Daria and I shared a room until I was 16 and saved enough from my landscaping job to finish the basement myself. Learned drywall, electrical, plumbing, all of it from YouTube and Dad's old manuals while Daria was out partying. The favoritism started early. Daria was the baby, the charmer, the one who could talk her way out of anything. Meanwhile, I was the serious one, the boring one, the one who didn't need as much attention. When Daria got a DUI at 19, Mom cried about how the system was targeting her baby. When I got accepted to State University with a partial scholarship, Dad asked if I was sure college was worth the debt. I paid my own way through school, worked construction in summers, bartended on weekends, graduated with a degree in finance, and about $30,000 in student loans. Got a job at a mid-sized investment firm right out of college, lived in a shitty studio apartment, and threw every spare dollar at those loans. Paid them off in 4 years, while Daria was dropping out of community college for the third time. But here's where it gets interesting. About 8 years ago, my parents hit a rough patch. Dad's pension wasn't stretching as far as they thought. Mom's medical bills from a surgery were piling up, and they were 3 months behind on their mortgage. The bank was starting foreclosure proceedings. Dad called me at work one Tuesday. Didn't even ask how I was doing, just launched straight into it. Suzanne, we're in trouble. Need to talk to you about something important. I drove over that night. They laid out the whole situation. They were about to lose the house, owed $68,000 on the mortgage, couldn't keep up with payments, and had no options left. Dad actually had tears in his eyes when he asked if I could help. How much do you need? I asked. That's the thing, Dad said. We need someone to take over the mortgage entirely. Maybe you could co-sign or something. I did the math in my head. My loans were almost paid off. I'd been saving aggressively, and I had decent credit. I could swing it, but I'm not an idiot. I'll buy the house, I said outright. Pay off the mortgage. You two can live here rent-free, but the deed goes in my name. Mom actually laughed. Suzanne, honey, that's not necessary. We just need help with the payments for a bit. Those are my terms, I said. Otherwise, you're on your own. Dad looked at Mom. Mom looked at Dad. They were 3 months from eviction. Fine, Dad finally said. But this is still our home. You're just helping us out with the paperwork. It was my house. I paid every cent of that mortgage off, cleared their debt, and put the deed in my name. Gave them a handwritten agreement that they could live there as long as they needed. No rent, no timeline, just family helping family. Took me 6 months to rebuild my savings after that purchase. Completely wiped me out. But I was proud of myself. I'd saved my parents' home, secured a real estate investment, and done something genuinely good. You know what I got for it? A thank you card and a lecture about not telling Daria because she might feel bad that she couldn't help. Daria didn't find out I owned the house. Neither did anyone else in the family. Far as everyone knew, Mom and Dad just worked it out with the bank. I never corrected them. Didn't see the point. Fast forward to 2 years ago. I started dating John. Met him at a work conference in Cleveland. He was in marketing for a medical device company. Sharp as hell, funny, and he actually seemed interested when I talked about boring like index funds and retirement planning. We hit it off immediately. John was everything I didn't know I needed. Driven but not cutthroat, ambitious but grounded, and he came from a normal family that didn't treat one kid like a demigod and the other like an ATM. His parents were divorced but cordial. His younger brother was in grad school, and family dinners were actually pleasant instead of Daria highlight reels. After 6 months, I knew he was it. Started looking at rings, planning out how I'd propose, the whole 9 yards. My friends at work were already talking bridal showers and weekend trips. I brought John around for family dinners maybe once a month. He got along great with Mom at first. They bonded over cooking and some HGTV show they both watched. Dad liked him because he asked intelligent questions about his old union work. And Daria? Well, Daria was Daria. My sister's never held a job longer than 18 months. She's had this string of failed ventures. Tried to flip cars without knowing anything about cars. Started a consulting business that was really just her bullshitting other unemployed folks at coffee shops. Even did some Instagram fitness influencer thing for a while, where she sold meal plans she copied from free websites. But Daria's got this personality that makes people want to help her. She's charismatic in that slimy car sales vibe, always has a story, always working an angle. Mom thinks she's entrepreneurial. I think she's a professionally unemployed mooch. When Daria met John, she turned on the charm immediately, complimented his shirt, asked about his job, made jokes that weren't quite funny, but people laughed anyway because that's what Daria does. John was polite, but I could tell he was clocking the show. "Your sister's a lot," he said on the drive home after that first dinner. That's one way to put it. She asked if my company had networking nights, wanted to know if I could get her in. Let me guess, she wants you to collab on a role. Pretty much, I gave her the website URL for our careers page. I laughed. That was John. Professional, polite, but not a pushover. For the next year and a half, things were solid. John and I were talking about moving in together, looking at apartments closer to both our offices. We'd even discussed marriage timeline stuff. I wanted to be engaged before moving in. He agreed. I was planning to propose that Christmas. Then came Thanksgiving. My family does Thanksgiving the same way every year. Everyone comes over to Mom and Dad's, my house, but whatever, and Mom cooks enough food to feed a small army. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole extended clan. It's usually fine, if a bit chaotic. John and I showed up around 2 p.m. with a homemade apple pie and some expensive wine. Football was already on. Daria was already 3 drinks in and holding court in the living room about some new business idea involving cryptocurrency and NFTs or some... "Susie," she sang when she saw me, pulling me into one of her aggressive hugs. Then, with that laser beam smile, "And John, looking good as always." That should have been my first clue. Daria doesn't compliment people unless she wants something. Dinner was the usual chaos. 20-some people crammed around 2 tables, passing dishes, talking over each other, the whole deal. John sat next to me, and we were having a good time, despite Daria launching into some story about how she'd almost closed a major deal that would have made her 6 figures. "What kind of deal?" my uncle asked. "Can't really get into specifics," Daria said. "NDAs and all that." John squeezed my hand under the table. He knew when he heard it. After dinner, the men traditionally watched football while the women cleaned up. Some sexist tradition that everyone just accepted. John actually likes football, so he grabbed a beer and planted himself on the couch next to me. I was about to start loading plates when Mom grabbed me. "Suzanne, honey, can you help me get the folding chairs from the basement?" It was a 2-person job, sure, but it felt weird. Whatever. I went downstairs with Dad while Mom started directing the cleanup operation. We were down there for maybe 20 minutes organizing chairs and bullshitting about the Lions' garbage season when I heard someone coming down the stairs. "Suzanne," it was John's voice. "Yeah, we're almost done." But his voice sounded wrong, tight. I looked up and he was standing at the bottom of the stairs, pale. "Can we go? Like, now?" Dad and I exchanged glances. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Just can we please leave?" Something was seriously off. I dropped the chairs and headed upstairs, John right behind me. Dad followed, asking what happened. When we got to the main floor, the energy was completely different. People were standing around awkwardly. Mom was in the kitchen with her arms crossed, and Daria was sitting on the couch, looking like the cat that ate the canary. "What's going on?" I asked. Nobody answered at first. Then my Aunt Sarah spoke up. "Maybe you two should talk privately." John grabbed his coat. "I want to leave now." I looked at Daria. She was smirking. That smirk. "What did you do?" I asked her directly. She widened her eyes. "Nothing, sis. We were just talking." "What happened?" I asked John, voice tight. "Please tell me in the car." I grabbed my coat and we left. The second we got in my car, John stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. "Daria kissed me," he said finally. "Pulled me into your dad's office under some pretense. Old photo album. and then kissed me. I pushed her off. She laughed and said I was being dramatic. The world tilted. Did anyone see? Amy was coming out of the hall bath. She definitely saw me leave the room, pissed. Daria followed a minute later, crying. I started the car. My brain was on fire, but I forced myself to think clearly. I need to go back inside. Suzanne, no. Stay here. Lock the doors. I'll be 5 minutes. I walked back into that house and went straight to Daria. She was still on the couch, drink in hand, not a care in the world. Outside. Now. Mom stepped forward. Suzanne, what is this about? Ask your golden girl. I looked at Daria. Move. To her credit, she got up. We went out to the driveway where no one could hear us. What the is wrong with you? I said, voice low and controlled. Daria put her hands up. Sis, he's lying. I don't know what he told you, but Amy saw you, I said. Her expression flickered just for a second, but I caught it. Look, it was nothing, she said. He came on to me. I backed off. He got embarrassed and made up this story. I laughed. Actually laughed. You're really going with that? I'm telling you the truth, Susie. Why would I do something like that? He's your guy. Exactly. He's my guy. And you couldn't stand that someone chose me over you for once in your pathetic life. Her face darkened. Screw you, Suzanne. You think you're so much better than me? You've always looked down on me, on this whole family. I saved this family, I said. I'm the one who paid for that house you're standing in front of, but yeah, I'm the bad guy. I turned and walked back to my car. Daria shouted something after me, but I didn't catch it. Didn't care. John and I drove home in silence. When we got to his apartment, he finally spoke. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have gone in that room with her. I was stupid. Hey, I took his hand. This is not your fault. Daria's a piece of, you did nothing wrong. Are you going to tell your parents the truth? I thought about it. Yeah, tomorrow. Let them process Thanksgiving first, then I'll call them. He nodded, still tense. I keep feeling disgusting, like I need to shower for 3 hours. Do you want me to stay? He did. I held him while he fell asleep, and I lay there planning exactly what I was going to say to my family. The next morning, I called Mom. We need to talk about Daria. Oh, Suzanne, I'm so glad you called. Her voice was syrup sweet. Daria told us what happened, and we're all very upset with John. My brain short-circuited. Excuse me? Daria said he got drunk and came on to her. She rejected him, and now he's embarrassed and trying to flip the story. Honey, I know you care about him, but maybe he's not who you thought he was. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. Are you kidding me right now? Language, Suzanne. Mom! Amy saw Daria pull John into that room. She saw John leave pissed. He wasn't drunk. He had 1 beer over the course of 5 hours. Daria is lying. Amy said she just saw them coming out of the office. She didn't see anything else. And Daria was very convincing about what happened. She even apologized for putting you in this situation. She apologized for sexually assaulting my boyfriend. That's a very serious accusation, Suzanne. I don't think we should be using that kind of language for what was obviously a misunderstanding. That's when I knew my whole family had already chosen sides and I'd lost. So you're taking her word over mine? We're just saying maybe there's more to the story than John told you. He's your boyfriend. He wouldn't do something like this to you. Maybe he got confused. I hung up. Called Dad. Same story. Called Amy, my cousin. She tap danced around it, but basically confirmed. She saw them leaving the office. John looked upset. She didn't actually see the kiss. Daria had gotten to her first, spun her version, and now everyone believed her. John and I spent that weekend in crisis mode. He was devastated that my family was calling him a liar. I was trying to figure out how to proceed. Cut them off entirely, demand Daria confess, sue her somehow. Then the Monday after Thanksgiving, I got a group text from Mom. Family meeting this Saturday at 3 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. We're going to clear the air about the Thanksgiving situation and move forward as a family. I didn't respond. Neither did John when he got the same text. Saturday came. I went alone. John refused to be in the same room as Daria, and I couldn't blame him. The family meeting was an ambush. Mom and Dad sat me down in their living room, my living room, and proceeded to explain how John had made advances on Daria. Daria had handled it gracefully, and now he was embarrassed and trying to save face by lying. He needs to apologize, Mom said, to Daria, to this family, and then we can all move past this. I stared at her. You're actually serious right now. Suzanne, I know it's hard to hear, but sometimes people we care about disappoint us. John made a mistake. We're willing to forgive him, but he needs to take accountability first. He made a mistake, I repeated slowly. Daria sexually assaults my boyfriend, and somehow he's the one who needs to apologize? Dad jumped in. Nobody's saying assault, Suzanne. Don't be dramatic. Daria said he kissed her. She pushed him away. End of story. Maybe he had more to drink than you realized. He wasn't drunk. Or maybe there's some attraction there he wasn't ready to admit. The point is, these things happen. We forgive and move on. I stood up. I'm not moving on. John told me the truth. Daria is lying, and you're all choosing to believe her because you've spent her entire life making excuses for her. That's not fair, Mom said. We've always treated you both equally. I actually laughed out loud at that one. Equally? I paid off this entire house 8 years ago because you two couldn't manage your finances. Daria's never contributed a dollar to this family, but sure, we're treated equally. Mom's face went red. We're grateful for what you did, but that doesn't give you the right to... To what? Expect you to believe me? To have my back when my sister assaults my boyfriend? Sorry for having standards. I left. Didn't go back for 3 weeks. Ignored all calls and texts. John and I tried to move forward, but the damage was done. Every time we talked about the future, the engagement, moving in together, the question hung in the air. How could we build a life together when my entire family had sided with Daria? We broke up in early December. Mutual decision, mostly. John couldn't deal with the family drama, and I couldn't ask him to. He deserved better than a girlfriend whose family called him a liar and her sister a victim. I was devastated. Not just about losing John, but about what it represented. My family had shown me exactly where I ranked, and it wasn't even on the podium. Then came the Christmas text. Mid-December, Mom sent it to the family group chat. Christmas celebration at our house, December 25th at noon. Daria is bringing John as her date. He's apologized for the misunderstanding, and they've become close over the past few weeks. We're so happy to welcome him into the family properly this time. Can't wait to see everyone. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't having a stroke. Daria was bringing John to Christmas as her date, and he'd apologized. I called John immediately. It went to voicemail. Tried again. Same thing. Sent a text asking what was going on. He responded 2 hours later. I'm sorry, Suzanne. Daria and I have been talking, and I realized I misunderstood what happened on Thanksgiving. We're going to try dating. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes. Then I started laughing. The kind of laugh you do when something is so completely that you can't process it any other way. Daria had won. She'd kissed my boyfriend, gaslit the entire family into believing he was the problem, and then swooped in as his supporter while he was vulnerable, and he'd fallen for it. Or maybe he just wanted to date someone whose family actually liked him. Either way, I was the collateral damage. I didn't respond to the Christmas text, didn't respond to John's message, just let it sit there while I figured out my next move. Because here's what my family didn't know. I still owned that house, the house they were planning to host Christmas in, the house Daria and John would presumably celebrate their new relationship in, the house that was still titled entirely in my name. I'd been lenient, gave them free housing for 8 years, never asked for rent, never pulled rank as the actual homeowner. But there's a difference between being generous and being a doormat. I made a call to my real estate attorney, a guy named Philip who'd helped me with some investment properties over the years. I need to transfer a property deed, I said. Need to make sure all the documentation is airtight. Sure thing, what property? I gave him the address. He pulled it up. This is the one in your name since 2015, right? The one your parents live in. That's the one. He was quiet for a beat. Suzanne, I have to ask, are you sure about this? These situations get messy fast. I'm sure. What do I need to do? He walked me through it. Since the house was in my name free and clear, I had options. I could sell it, I could rent it out, or I could legally reclaim it as my primary residence and evict the current occupants. How long would eviction take, I asked. In Ohio, with proper notice, 30 days minimum. But if they're not paying rent and there's no formal lease agreement, there's a handwritten agreement from 8 years ago saying they can live there as long as they need. Is it notarized? No. Then legally, it's worth about as much as toilet paper. You've been generous letting them stay rent-free, but you're under no legal obligation to continue. If you want them out, you can start the eviction process whenever you want. What kind of timeline are we looking at? Say I started the process tomorrow. I could file the paperwork on Monday. They'd get served with an official notice probably Tuesday or Wednesday. After that, 30 days for them to vacate. If they don't leave voluntarily, we go to court and get a formal eviction order. That adds maybe another 2 weeks, so roughly 45 days total from start to finish. I did the math in my head. If I started the process in mid-December, they'd be out by the end of January. but I could time it so they got the initial notice right around the holidays. Start the paperwork, I said. I want them served on New Year's Eve. Suzanne, make it happen, Philip. He sighed. You're the client, but I'm putting it on record that I advised against this timing. Noted. I spent the next 2 weeks in a strange kind of limbo. Went to work, hit the gym, saw a couple of friends for drinks. Nobody knew what I was planning except Philip, and he was bound by attorney-client privilege. Christmas Day came. I stayed home, turned off my phone, ordered Chinese food, and watched old rom-coms until the credits blurred together. I didn't think about Daria and John sitting in my house, eating dinner in my kitchen, probably making out on my couch. Okay, I thought about it, but I didn't let it break me. The day after Christmas, I got a text from Mom. You missed a wonderful celebration. Daria and John are so happy together. We're disappointed you couldn't be mature enough to attend and be happy for your sister. I blocked her number, then Dad's, then Daria's. Kept Philip's unblocked, of course, and waited. New Year's Eve came. I was at a party with a few coworkers when Philip texted, Process server made the delivery at 4 p.m. today. Your parents were served. Be ready. I smiled, ordered another drink, and turned my phone face down. Around 6, it started buzzing nonstop. Unknown numbers this time. They'd figured out I'd blocked them and were calling from friends' phones. I ignored everyone. Let them stew. New Year's Day, I finally checked my voicemail. 17 messages. Mom first. Suzanne, what is this? Some man came to the house yesterday with eviction papers. This has to be a mistake. Call me back immediately. Then Dad, I don't know what kind of sick joke this is, but we need to talk. This is still our home. I don't care whose name is on some piece of paper. And then Daria. You're seriously going to kick Mom and Dad out of their house? Over John? That's messed up, even for you. Call me back so we can fix this before you embarrass yourself further. Over John. Like that's what this was about. There were more. Aunt Sarah, cousins, people I hadn't heard from in years. Each one lecturing me about family loyalty. Not one person asked me why. I sent one text to the family group chat, the only message I'd sent since Thanksgiving. The house located at address is legally owned by me and has been since 2015. I paid the mortgage in full when Mom and Dad were facing foreclosure. I allowed them to live there rent-free for 8 years as a courtesy. That courtesy is now over. They have 30 days to vacate. Do not contact me further. Then I left the group chat. The fallout was nuclear. Extended family took sides. Some got it. I'd paid for the house. I had every right. Most called me cruel, heartless, vindictive. Daria tried to play hero, told everyone she'd find Mom and Dad a place to stay. Started a GoFundMe titled Helping Our Parents Rebuild that raised about $600 before people realized the story wasn't what she claimed. Then, out of nowhere, John texted me in early January. I heard about the house thing. I think we need to talk. I never meant for things to go this far. Daria and I aren't actually together. I was confused and hurt, and she was there. This is all such a mess. Can we please just talk? I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to unload every ounce of fury I'd been swallowing since Thanksgiving, to ask if he really thought I'd take him back after what he'd done. But honestly, he wasn't worth the energy. I deleted it without responding. Philip called me mid-January. They're not moving out, he said. Filed a motion to dispute the eviction, claiming verbal rental agreement, tenant rights, the whole 9 yards. Can they do that? They can try, but they'll lose. You own the property outright. There's no formal lease, and that handwritten note you mentioned? I had a handwriting expert review it. It's not enforceable as a legal document. Even if it were, the lack of notarization kills it. So what happens now? We go to court. Judge will review the paperwork, probably side with you, and issue a formal eviction order. After that, they get 2 more weeks to leave voluntarily. If they don't, sheriff removes them physically. How long until court? I've got a date, February 12th. Valentine's week, how poetic. When the day came, I showed up in a navy suit, hair pulled back, calm as stone. Philip sat beside me with a neat folder of documentation. My parents were there with a local lawyer who looked like he'd been promised a free dinner for his trouble. Their attorney's argument was pure theater. These are aging parents who relied on their daughter's verbal promise that they could live in the house forever. It would be unconscionable to evict them now. Philip stood. Your Honor, my client is the sole owner of the property. She paid the full mortgage in 2015 when the defendants were facing foreclosure. There is no lease, no rent, no written contract. She's simply exercising her legal right to reclaim her own property. But this is a family matter, their attorney insisted. Surely there's room for mediation. Philip didn't blink. My client attempted mediation for years, financially, emotionally, repeatedly. The defendants chose their younger daughter over my client after that daughter betrayed her in the most personal way imaginable. My client has no further obligation, moral or legal, to continue providing free housing to people who have shown her nothing but contempt. The judge glanced through the documents, then at my parents. Mrs. and Mr. Harper, do you have any proof of a lease agreement or written promise that you could reside there indefinitely? Their attorney shuffled papers. We have a handwritten note. The judge read it. Took 10 seconds. This is not a legal document. No signatures, no dates, no terms. It carries no weight in this court. He banged his gavel. Ruling in favor of the plaintiff, defendants have 14 days to vacate. If they fail to do so, law enforcement will assist with removal. Court dismissed. My parents sat frozen. Their lawyer tried to protest, but the judge had already moved to the next case. Outside, Mom caught up with me. Suzanne, please, where are we supposed to go? I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who had raised me, yes, but never defended me, who had chosen Daria over me more times than I could count. You'll figure it out, I said quietly. You're resourceful. We're your parents, she said, voice cracking. And Daria's your daughter, I replied. Ask her for help. I'm sure John would love to pitch in. Dad stepped forward. You're really doing this? Putting us out over some grudge? Some grudge, I said. Daria assaulted my boyfriend, and your response was to call him the liar and then invite both of them to Christmas as a couple. That's not a grudge, Dad. That's me finally believing what you've shown me my whole life. She came on to him, he snapped. She didn't. And even if she had, even if every word out of Daria's mouth were true, you still chose her over me. You always have. Now you get to live with that choice. I walked away. Philip followed. Behind us, Mom started crying. Dad shouting that I was tearing the family apart. They had 12 days left. Through the grapevine, cousins who tried to stay neutral, I heard that Daria had stepped up. She and John broke up about a week after the court date. Apparently, once the thrill of the forbidden wore off and the reality set in, neither wanted the fallout. Daria moved Mom and Dad into her one-bedroom apartment, 3 adults and 600 square feet. It lasted 2 weeks before they were all at each other's throats. Mom and Dad ended up in a rundown 2-bedroom across town. Dad took a job at Home Depot. Mom started working part-time at a grocery store. Both in their 60s, starting over because they'd chosen wrong. Daria's still Daria. Last I heard, she's in real estate now, which probably means she's selling one condo every 6 months and calling herself an entrepreneur. John sent me one last text in March. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm sorry. Daria showed me who she really was pretty fast. You deserve better from all of us. I didn't respond. As for the house, my house, I moved in. Spent about $15,000 renovating it. New paint, new floors, updated kitchen. Got rid of every trace of them. Hosted friends for dinner. Started sleeping again without waking up angry. My bedroom now? The one that used to be Daria's. Seemed fitting. Extended family still talks. Half think I was justified. Half think I'm a monster. I don't care. The people whose opinions used to matter proved they never should have. Mom wrote me a letter in April. Handwritten, mailed to the same address she once called hers. It was all about forgiveness, unity, moving on. I didn't even open it. Filed it with the eviction paperwork, just in case I ever need a reminder of what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. I'm not the villain here. I gave them 8 years of free housing. I believed the truth when no one else would. I gave them chance after chance. They made their choice. So I made mine. They're living with the consequences, and I'm living in peace.